Yep, I'm not. Can I change this fucking close effects picker, green screen lighting, flip bong, no, retouch. Well, let's see. There it. That don't work. Alright, so I gotta do it this way. Alright, so I'm gonna eat mashed potato on camera. No. So wait for you people to come in. There we go. How you doing? Uh, so I'm going to be reading from excerpts from the Havamal. The words is the high one. If you don't know what that is, then I don't know what to tell you. But I'm going to read what the Havamal is. The Havamal is the words of the high one. It's the second poem in the Poetic Edda. And it's considered the words of Odin. And it is life advice for everyone. And there's a bunch of different translations. The original poem was written in Old Norse, and I have about 4 or 5 translations in front of me. I'm going to read each translation and then go over what I think they mean. But I'm going to read what the Havamal is, according to Dr. Jackson Crawford, who was a linguist of Old Norse, a linguist and a professor of Old Norse studies. And he is the author of the Poetic Edda, one of them that I'm reading from. All right. The text called the Havamal, literally words of the one eye or words of the high one, either way a reference to Odin, appears to be sewn together from perhaps 5 or 6 earlier poems. The first, the Gestalter, the guest part, comprises roughly stanzas 1 to 81, and is the most famous part of the poem. This might be considered a Norse equivalent of the Book of Proverbs, containing as it does a series of disconnected stanzas encouraging wisdom and moderation in living one's life. Gestalter is followed by Dami Althen's Odin's Love Adventures, which contains general advice about love and 2 stories told from the perspective of the god as he tries, once succeeding, once failing, to secure the love of a giant woman. He fails to seduce Billing's daughter, but he wins over Gunloth, who gives him the meat of poetry. Wow, there's a lot of people in here all of a sudden. Hi, everyone. Who gives him the meat of poetry? The poem then segues into the Lofofnus mode. Words for Lofofnir. Another series of advice stanzas addressed to an unknown character named Lofofnir. These sections are followed in turn by the Runathal, the tally of the runes, in which Odin speaks of the mysterious fashion in which he sacrifices himself to himself for the knowledge of the runic alphabet, and finally the Lothal, the tally of songs, a list of 18 magical spells that Odin claims to know. Most stanzas convey one single thought, but some comprise 2 or 3 seemingly unrelated proverbs. The orders of stanzas 88 and 89 has been reversed in order to convey their meaning more clearly, but the original numbering is indicated. Hey, how's it? How we doing? All right. So, Havamal, stanza 1. This is the Jackson Crawford edition. At every doorway before you enter, you should look around. You should take a good look around, for you never know where your enemies might be seated within. And if y'all want any bookmarks, they'll be up on the Shopify store tomorrow. So I'm also reading out of the Study Havamal. Now, when I bought this book, I thought it was great. It has 3 different translations. It has positions for notes. And then later on, I found out the truth. That Eugen and Milne Publishing, this publishing company that makes this book, is a bunch of racist piece of shit. So, if you have one, keep it. If you don't have one, do not spend the money on it. We need an inclusive publishing company. And I just dropped my bookmark. That was that loud bang. All right, so going to Havamal stanza 1. I'm going to try and read the Old Norse. Gattet alla, ade gangi fram, skudaskili, skignaskili, puva, ovist era vita, hava, lofnir, sitta affletti frier. Frier, firier, fletti firier. At every doorway here, this is Bray's translation, Olive Bray. Olive Bray is a translation from, I don't know, like the 1960s, I believe. I got to actually write down the years, so I'll have those next time I do it. I'm going to be doing this every Wednesday for a few weeks. At every doorway, ere one enters, one should spy round, one should pry round, for uncertain is the writing that there will be no foeman sitting within before one on the floor. Olive Bray. Next one, Thorpe's translation, Benjamin Thorpe. All doorways before going forward should be looked to, for difficult it is to know where foes may sit within a dwelling. And then we have Bellows. Within the gates ere a man shall go. Full wary let him watch. Full long let him look about him, for little he knows where a foe may lurk, and sit in the seats within. That's the Bellows translation. Now, the modern Havamal, by me, Jason Savage. So I'm going to go to the first stanza. Stanza 1. Within these streets, tread with caution's care, eyes alert, aware of each glare. In hidden spots, dangers might dwell. Stay watchful in this urban swell. Through alleys dim, take heed, proceed slow. Unseen perils could lurk below. In every turn, a risk might bloom. Stay vigilant to avert the doom. So that's my poem. That is, the Modern Havamal is a book that I wrote. That is poems that match the Havamal's meanings, and they're more modern poems, so it helps convey the emotion to Americans that most Scandinavians get from this, or English speakers, I should say, that most Scandinavian speakers get when they hear the original Old Norse, when they hear the original Icelandic or Old Norse. There's a lot of people in here. It's very active. What did you say? Yeah, my Old Norse, my Icelandic, I can read it. I make some funny pronunciations because I'm from the Bronx. So Old Norse is a little bit of a stretch. I'm working on Icelandic. I am not fluent. I want that fucking well known. I'm working on it. I'm working on Norwegian on Duolingo. All right, so that's Havamal stanza 1. So basically, anybody got anything they want to say? Anything they have in the comments? What I get from it is wherever you go, especially if you're going somewhere for the first time, be careful. Have your eyes alert. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Don't sleep on shit. Like, stay very vigilant wherever you go, especially if you're in a new place, especially if you're in a new dwelling. When you first get there, you can let your guard down, but always, if you're not inside your home, always have your guard up, just how do I celebrate Yuletide? That's a hard one, because I recently found out something that changed the way I celebrated it. So I'm actually in the process of deconstructing what I built over the last 8 years prior. So, one of the things, I always do a Yule log regardless. I create some kind of a wood burn, or, I already did that. I create some kind of a wood burn, and then I throw it in a fire pit out on the side of the house, which is out there, right now. What did we do? We did a Yule log. We went to New York for Christmas. Me and Hopi exchanged gifts, and I bought her a pair of Louboutins. She got me some really nice clothes and a nice jacket. So that's how that was spent. A bit more aware when coming into something new. That sounds all right. The Vegvasphere, though, is it's a national symbol of Iceland. It's an Icelandic stave. And, you know, that's not from it's from the 1600s, what we know as of what's called the Viking compass in pop culture. It's a 1600, it was made in the 1600s. It was it's a form of a Christian stave that was very popular in the Galdabrook in that time period in Iceland. Right after the Romantic era, once the Codex Regius was found again, and there was like a resurgence in Norse culture and Norse mythology and all that. It's 1620, 1600, 1660, something like that. 1600, 1700. And it was only like a 30, 40 year period. And they, with that was the time where Christian stave and magical symbolism and stave witchcraft, you call, was very popular in Iceland, and that's where the Vegvasphere comes from. It actually has a lot deeper of a meaning on it. Don't remember it off the top of my head, but that's a great video. Stop lying, you didn't buy no Louis Vuitton. Yeah, I did. Fucking Poshmark is a beautiful thing. And say I got it new. Hello. And it wasn't Louis Vuitton, it was Louboutins. I got her a pair of shoes. They were freaking off Poshmark. I think they were like $700. They were like $300. They weren't expensive at all. They were originally like $2K, but you know. All right, so let's move on to Havamal. And I'm not up here trying to flex. I'm broke. I'm po. I talk about it all the time on my channel, so it's not like I'm up here flexing. I was just saying that was like the one gift I got. The only thing I could afford. We're gonna go to Havamal 2. There's number symbols that are Norse. There's number symbols that aren't Norse at all. You know, there's symbols that have been co-opted. There's been symbols that have been changed. Symbols that whole ass rune systems made up. All right, Havamal stanza 2. What time are we at? 8:21. All right, yeah, we're doing good time. I'm trying. I would like to get 4 stanzas knocked out. All right, stanza 2. I'm gonna try the Old Norse. I'm gonna try the Icelandic first, and then I'll read the other ones. We're reading Crawford's Havamal now, and mine, and Bray's, and Thoughts and Bellows. Havamal stanza 2. Gefende hier gister in kumen, was skal sitte scha, make brade sa brondum skal sinza friesta frama. Sinza fiesta frama. A very rolls off the tongue. 2. This is Olive Bray's. Hail ye givers, a guest is come. Say, where shall he sit within? Much pressed is he who fain on the hearth would seek for warmth and weal. That's why the Olive Bray one, it's like from the 1800s. It's very Shakespearean in its language. It's very holy, holy fucking thing, blah, 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 blah. Shoot, Benjamin Thorpe. Givers hail, a guest is come in. Where shall he sit? And much haste is he who on the way has to try his luck. Bellows translation. Hail to the giver, a guest is come. Where shall the stranger sit? Swift shall he be who with sword shall try the proof of his might to make. See what Crawford has to say about this. So far, I'm getting fuck around and find out vibes from it, right? What do you think? Two, hail to a good host. The guest has come inside. Where shall he sit? He is impatient, standing on the threshold, ready to try his luck. Getting those fuck around, find out vibes. 2. Modern Havamal, Jason Savage, available on Amazon. If you watch this on the replay, the link will be in the description of the video. All right. And for other resin art, book reads, different, my merchandise, that's all handmade. 2. Welcome, guests, to this humble abode. Where shall you find your resting mode? Quickly tested, strength revealed. In trials, face your worth unsealed. So, what I get from that stanza is when someone comes to your house, like, be a good host. Like, hey, you know, can I give you something to eat? Would you like to sit down? Blah 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 blah. Uh, what's up, Dave? Would you like to sit down? And on the other end, it's also saying that, like, don't be impatient when you come to someone's house, like, or even like when you go into a restaurant, don't be a dick. Like, if there's a wait. Like, don't try to push your way through. The viral video going, New Jersey food guy here who tried to fucking like shit on a restaurant on like Christmas Eve because he wanted to sit at the bar and they wouldn't let him. So he had like 300 followers on TikTok saying he was a food influencer. You're throwing the New Jersey food guy out. Fucking idiot. Well, like, don't be a bad, not only don't be a bad host, don't be a bad guest. I feel like it's like, some of the rules of hospitality. Like, yeah. This pendant, this is called an axe of Perun. And because I mentioned that, I'll link the short video that explains why I wear this in the description of the video. But I 100% believe that Odin manifested into human form and handed this to me while I was detoxing in rehab. My personal, would you guys like to hear that story, or do you want to see the video? Or would you rather I just tell you the story? No, it's not a second Mjolnir. This is an axe of Perun. So this is from Slavic paganism. I found all this out afterwards. So this, I was in a rehab in the mountains of Pennsylvania. It was an old summer camp. It was an old Christian summer camp that was renovated into, a drug and alcohol rehabilitation. And I was really in a bad spot. Me and Hope had broken up. I went out on a run because of that. Like, we had it like a fucking falling out. Like, we weren't living together anymore. Like, we were assholes to each other. And I went on a run. I took it out on myself, like what I always used to do. And this was the last run I went on. This is 2 years ago, February. I went into rehab for fucking the 29th of February, leap year. So when I was there, I'm not a god guy. I'm not like Hail Odin. I'm more Landvertier ancestors. Is really what I work with. I do a lot of ancestral veneration. I do work with gods, and I do deity work, but I'm more ancestral. That's just my practice. Anybody, I talk about that too in videos. So I called out to Odin, which I never do, and I went and I had like some bread and some fruit, and I took a bowl and I put it on the side of a cabin, and I left it as an offering for him. And a few days go by, whatever, and I can't tell you how many days, but it's all, I can tell you the order of events. So the next event, right? Guy just walks up to me, fucking big ass hood over his head, long gray beard, and this is poking out of his hoodie. He had like a Carhartt hoodie, but it was like, the Carhartt work jackets. It was like that, but it was cut longer, like, and it wasn't that like crimp in underneath. It was like a hood, and then it went to like a big bay jacket. And it was unusual jacket. I just remember it being an unusual cut. And he asked me for a light off my cigarette, because at that rehab they don't give you lighters. They have like you got to get a lighter off the staff. Cold Forge, you got to get a lighter off the staff, and then everybody jumps cigarettes, right? So the guy asked me for a light. I turn around and I see this, and I'm like, oh shit, what is that? I'm like, it looks like a Mjolnir, but I was like, oh, I've seen that. It's like a berserker axe. I've heard something about it. I really didn't know much about it. But he asked me, and I started talking to him about heathenry and those paganism. And he's like, you really know a lot about this, boy. And just as he says it, somebody's like, yo, Savage, like, yo, let me get a light. So I turn around and give my man a cigarette. I give it to him, he lights the cigarette, and I turn back, and yo, homeboy's gone, bro. Follow like a fart in the fucking wind. He was gone. And he could have made it to a building, but he would have to full out sprint. Like, really weird behavior would have been for a fucking human to do that. So, like, whatever, right? So, like, another night or two goes by, and I'm walking by, and there's a fucking house cat in the middle of the fucking grounds in the rehab with a collar on his neck and shit. So, like, I go over, and it's a gray cat. And I'm like, oh, shit, cat. Like, we're in the middle of fucking mountains. Why is there a house cat? Like, it's like 5 miles to the nearest house. And fucking, I go up to the med tents to get my meds for the night. And when I go into the building, like, to the side of the building, I go in, I'm at the window talking to the lady, the nurse. She goes to give me my medication, and the cat's rubbing on my leg. And I'm like, fucking cat's, like, loving me. Like, and somebody looks down and goes, yo, that cat got one eye. And I was like, what? And I looked down, and lo and behold, this fucking cat's missing a whole ass eye with, like, a scar through his face. Looking like fucking Anakin Skywalker, the skull, but he was missing the eye completely. It was gone. It's like a fucking voided socket. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, Odin? And like jokingly, and the cat was like, wow, wow, yelling at me. I was like, freaked out. I go back over to where the cigarettes are. Like, I had to get away from this cat. Like, I was kind of bugging. And mind you, I'm like 2 weeks sober. So, like, you know, off some fucked up shit. And it wasn't that long. It was only like a week and a half on it. But I went hardcore. I go hard in the paint when I go out. And as I was, I go to him smoking, fucking cat freaked me out. And the cat follows me. And like people are trying to feed it and they won't. And then somebody comes and they had a sandwich. And I tried to get like egg salad to feed it and other things, nothing would eat. And somebody had a sandwich. I took a piece of the bread. And it wanted the bread only from me. And I remember I put bread in the bowl when I put the fucking offering out. So anyways, like, I'm like freaked out now by this cat, so I fucking gotta leave. And as I'm like going back towards my room, the cat's like fucking yelling. Like, he knows me. And then people are like, yo, is this your fucking cat or something? Did it sneak in? No, never seen it before. And food day, I go to my room, nobody's seen the cat ever again. Like, the next day, everybody's asking in the cafeteria, who the fuck cat was cat? Nobody knows. Cat disappeared. So anyways, a few days later, it's early morning. It's like the first cigarette of the morning after the first group, right? Like 9 o'clock in the morning. Whole fucking crowd of motherfuckers. And out of nowhere comes the fucking bearded dude. And I swear, like, he kind of just, like, appeared out of the crowd. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it was a crowd of men. There's like 100 men on the campus all smoking cigarettes. You know what I mean? And this guy just kind of like came out of the crowd again. And he got the same fucking hood on. And it's up to the same spot. He got a long white beard. And he's like, here. And I'm like, and I turn and I put my hand out. And I feel it right away. And I knew he gave it to me. And I'm like, yo. And it was copper at that point. Now it's like silver. This thing's fucking weird. It changed colors, everything. I'm not bullshitting anybody. So, I give it to him, and this gets even fucking crazier. So he gives it to me, and I show my man, and I'm like, yo, Colton, check this out, bro. Look how beautiful this thing is. And I'm holding this in my hand, and I'm showing it to him, right? And he's like, yo, it's fucking nice. Where'd you get that? Who gave it to you? I'm like, this dude. I turn back, fucking homeboy's gone. I saw that guy again, but it was in Miami. But, yeah, that's another story. So he fucking, I didn't I can't find him. So now I'm like fascinated. I'm obsessed. Who the fuck is this dude? So I'm asking like everybody in the fucking different dorm buildings, like, yo, you know this guy with a fucking hood and a long beard? He had this on when he came in. He gave it to me. No. One of the texts tells me, yo, go ask the lady who does the intakes. There's a woman whose whole job in the fucking facility is to write down all your stuff. And put it away and log it, catalog it. And she knew what a Mjolnir was because I had been there once before, like 2 years prior to that, right? I've been in a lot of facilities. I battled addiction hard. And she knew what a Mjolnir was. She remembered me. And like, so I go down there and I show her this. She's like, I've never fucking seen that thing. And I have no idea who you're talking about that came in with a long white beard. She's like, you have the longest, whitest beard in the last like 3 weeks that's been in this facility. Now, what gets even fucking crazier with this, nobody knows who this dude was. So either this dude just snuck onto a secure medical facility, just to hand twice, just to hand me this thing. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that I had this experience. But what gets even fucking crazier, so I'm talking to it about this with somebody that I know, and I'm like, yeah, the craziest shit is the Celtic knotwork that's in it. Like, I've never seen anything like that. Right? Yeah, I do. So I'm like, I've never seen any kind of knotwork like that on something like this. But it matches the Celtic knotwork that's in a tattoo on my shoulder that's been there for the last 15 years. Like, and when I tell you it matches, it lines up. So that's how I got this necklace. You can make your decisions. I think it was the god who says Lego's crack. So I think I know why I wear it, and sympathetic magic at play. Yeah, maybe. I don't know what it is. Yeah, no, you're welcome. But that is 100% how I got this. Like, I'm not making that story up to be cool. I'm not making up the fact that it matched the tattoo. I'm not making up the fact that there was a one-eyed cat there that night. I'm not making up the fact that the guy handed it to me was a hooded fucking long-bearded man. If I had told you this story before, if you had told me that story before it happened, I would have been like, yeah, okay, bud, cool. And I'm not saying it was Odin. I'm not saying it wasn't. I personally believe it was. So, on to, let's get Havamal stanza 3 out of the way. How's that sound? Right, that's what I look at. There's no way it could have not been Odin. So, let's see if we can't get stanza 3 knocked out of the way, right? All right. Eldjetof dems in kommen, akken kalin mata ak vithe, mani porf der hem frim afval farit. Bright, he had need of fire who now is come, numbed with cold to the knee, food and clothing the wanderer craves, who has fared o'er the rimy fell. O'er the rimy fell. 3. Fire is needful to who is come in, and whose knees are frozen, foot and remain a man requires. Ho o'er the fell has arrived. That's Benjamin Thorpe. Bellows, fire. Fire he needs, who with frozen knees has come from the cold without. Food and clothes must the farer have. The man from the mountains come. Crawford. He needs a fire, the one who has just come in. His knees are shivering. Food and dry clothes will do him well after his journey over the mountains. Savage. He who arrives with knees so cold from icy paths, his story told, needs the warmth that fires bestow, and food and clothes for the mountain snow. Yeah, so, I mean, that goes to a help your neighbor type thing. That goes to That goes to community. That goes to Philog. That goes to giving back to, the people that less fortunate or in need at that moment, because you never know when someone else is going to need you, right? I always try to help as much as I possibly can. I've learned sometimes though that I can overextend myself if I help too much. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us have had. I don't know somebody that doesn't walk this path that hasn't had an experience of some kind with the energy deity or in some way. I do a lot of ancestral work. I venerate my mother a lot and I honor my mom a lot. And my mom comes through, bro. Like she really comes through. Like she will get a message across, from beyond the veil. So like, sometimes I hear some things that people say, and sometimes for me it's fucking bro. Cool story, dude. Like, and it's bullshit. And I don't want to be that guy ever. Like, that's why I try to like. I'm very mundane over magic, like, with my practice. Like, I'm very more, like, like if I see a raven or, if I see a crow in front of my house, like, I live right down the street from a bird sanctuary. Like, fucking, of course I'm going to see crows in front of my house. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, I'm more, like, I'm not very quick to cure it up to the divine or to give it to, hey, that was Steve right away. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, for me to, like, say, like, I it's not something I would normally say, like, we've been like for a half hour now. All right, I don't know how they are. I know how TikTok is. But y'all are coming outside with me for a minute, side of the house. I think we're gonna stop at 3. Yeah, I mean, I've heard. Yeah. We're all going outside. We're taking a field trip to the porch. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody that's not heathen that hasn't had some supernatural experience, hasn't had some experience with the divine. I don't know a person. I don't know a person that practices this, that doesn't say, like, when I tell my story, that, oh, this is my story. And what's crazy is I've had conversations with other people that have said that they've met a bearded hooded stranger before, right? And when I talked to like 3 people, right? And 2 of the other people described the jacket. That's what was fucking weird to me. That way, because the jacket wasn't. Let me show you with this cut. So, like with this jacket, right? You see how it crinches here in the middle? That one didn't do it. It didn't crunch up here. It was straight like a Carhartt, but it was it was straight like the collared Carhartt, right? It had that straight cut, but it had a big ass Jedi hood. It looked like, it looked like a fucking Sith. It looked like a Sith fucking Lord. It looked like Palpatine sitting on the throne. You know what I mean? I don't know what the without potency in your practice. Yeah, I agree with that, Dark Side Dabba. Like, I did pray for signs from the Christian God a lot. Like, I was Catholic. I prayed to the Christian God a lot. And it took me, sad to say, it took me 6 years to get sober. 7 years to get sober. 7 years of facilities. Averaging about 3 facilities a year. Like, I had, I didn't want to I didn't want to. I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to face the fact that like it's all drinking. I didn't want to face the fact that having a drink led me to seeking out drugs. And then after a while, I didn't even need the drugs. I didn't even want the alcohol anymore. It was just straight to the other shit, you know. And in between getting all the pharmaceuticals from my accident, my motorcycle accident, and getting introduced to that, and just went off the rails, man. It is what it is, you know. But it took me like 7 years to get sober, and a lot of that time was, it took about 4 years, because some of that time was leaving Christianity and coming to and start. And so, you know, in the beginning, I prayed to the Christian God a lot when I first like went to rehab and shit. And then like it was in rehab where I discovered those paganism. Like a lot of this, you know, and then I went to a few events and things of that nature. But I bumped my head a lot. That's why I do the channel. That's why I do this channel. That's why I do the whole fucking platform, How to Heathen. I'm not trying to tell people how to heathen. I'm just trying to, like, I'm not telling them how to do their practice. That's only, I use that term because that term's search engine friendly. I hope you guys know that. You know, it's like 70% of all Google searches start with the terms what is or how to. So that's why I did How to Heathen. Like that's what happened to me is I looked so hard for structure, for organization, right? And unfortunately, the fucking organizations that you can fall into very easily when you start pursuing this path are racist piece of shit or bigoted, you know, they have bigoted ideology. And that's where, like, that's why I do what I do. That's why I make the videos I make. That's why I try to, so that people, I don't want people getting culted up, like, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people getting caught up and getting fucking manipulated and getting spiritually blackmailed, you know, and twisted because of this shit. What is that? Yeah, if you don't, and that's the other thing I always say, if you don't do this path, I look at it as a path to self-improvement. I really do. Like, I'm either working on my spiritual connection with the deities, the earth, you know, or nature, or I'm working on my body, or I'm working on my finances, and I'm cognitive of that because of this path. Like, I don't know. I found more structure from no structure, if that makes sense. Being able to create my own structure from it is, you know, like I say all the time, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just appropriate, you know? And like, I'm not out here trying to tell anybody how to worship. I'm just telling them the information that I get. And, you know, the information that I got, the ways I bumped my head as I was coming up, you know what I mean? And it's, you know, and we're seeing a huge, you know, Alpha True Global yesterday got their fucking church, they got their license. They are now a certified church. They got it yesterday afternoon. Hearthfire, Wolf the Red, they just got approved too for, I don't know what their classification is, but I know that they got, you know, government approval. So, like, you know, tax status. And whereas that doesn't sound like that big a deal, it's huge because it's legitimacy. And now we're getting more and more and more legitimate organizations, right? Do I want one of those legitimate organizations? No, not really. Like, would I be a part of one? Yeah. But, like, that's not what I'm trying to build here. What I'm trying to build here is, and I've said this before, like the Thrasher magazine of the culture. I just want to, like, report on it. You know what I mean? I want to report on it. I want to help people that are trying to get into it to navigate their path easier. And my content, believe it or not, to me, that's a way of me honoring the gods. And that's my way of me honoring my ancestors. It's part of my creation for the path. Yeah, I got more structure from less structure. Like, I am defiant by nature. Don't fucking tell me what to do. So like, if you tell me fucking what to do, I'm not like I'm gonna kick against you. But like if I'm searching it out, I'm gonna find it. Make sense? Is that we're working on that too, because Bovar's very, very, very involved with the military. He's like helped develop. Him and Crimson have helped develop um, clergy for the clergy programs for the military. So they're working on it. We're working on that. But the like the tribe we have in the community, and what's fucking funny is I was having this conversation with Bovar on the phone the other day. Like I'm not trying to be an elder. I'm just trying to be a source of information, a reputable source of information. But I'm ending up becoming one because, like, I don't know, not kicking and screaming, but that's not what I set out to be. Like, I have people that I feel like count on me now. Like, we have our own little community in the Discord server. We're like, yeah, okay, we're online, but like, that'll change. We'll meet up in person. But, there's been a lot of awesome shit that's happened in that server so far. Like, a lot of people's breakthroughs, a lot of spiritual guidance, a lot of help. Like, and that's what community does. And I think it's an awesome thing. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is fucking Hexact right now. BD's not cooperative with this shit. I was surprised that 2 heathen organizations were approved on the same day. I don't know if there's some kind of schedule for their paperwork things or whatever, but that's just like really shocked the shit out of me with the politics of the nation. That two fucking organizations would get their response back on the same day. So like, or in the same time period, it's recent news, both events. I don't know if it's the exact same day, but like, I just found that weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially with the political climate that's going on right now. Very, very Christian oriented, but skits like Drewski yesterday, they're not helping them. RCC. I like that pagan prince. When it hits G1, expect 3 more turn around. Yeah, I was talking military language. I don't know that freaking lingo. Yeah. The RCC. Oh, the Roman Catholic Church. I had this conversation. It's funny. It's not a coincidence that a lot of people that are coming to heathenry are from Catholicism. Not a coincidence whatsoever. Catholicism is basically a polytheistic Christianity. It really is. I mean, that's what the Knights Templar were fucking persecuted for, because they worship John the Baptist, and they literally took the disciples almost as like a tribe of gods, the Templars, and they took polytheistic prayer practices from, a lot of their grandfathers were famous fucking Vikings. They were Christians, but a lot of the guys that formed the Knights Templar, like, there was like fucking 32 original members. It was like 12, like fucking 12 of the guys, like, our families are mentioned in the sagas. Like, not a coincidence. Yeah, Captain Bucket. See, that's the thing. The more I learned about Yule this year, and the more I learned about it from Scandinavians, right? Let me reiterate that. David was in the comments before. Urban Norseman. He's on both of these platforms too. I did a collab with him last week. So me and him were. I mean, I email once a week with the House of True Temple now in Iceland, and Yule doesn't have a set schedule. According to the sagas, Yule would actually be in February, either January, February. I believe it's February. Ken explained this the best. It's the first full moon, first lunar cycle, first full lunar cycle, the end of the first full lunar cycle after the solstice. So that would be the new moon. That would be the new moon that starts in January. right? So the end of that would be the full moon in February. That would be when Yuletide would start, according to the saga. According to the sagas. But here we talk about the solstice and Gooms, who's native Icelandic. He's a member of the Ásatrúarfélagið. He lives in Norway, and he was like, solstice, and he like whipped his phone out. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was pitch fucking black. He's like, what's solstice? You got to see the sun to know where it is. And we were like, oh shit. Like, so the way we celebrate a lot of, and it's unfortunate that a lot of what is done in American Norse paganism, right? And why is even, and this is a term that this is something that I want to go over next in an upcoming episode. But the reason that, like, in Europe, in Scandinavia, they don't call it Norse paganism. They call it Ásatrú, or they call it Odinism, depending on which, but it's Ásatrú, right? Is what they call it over there. Norse pagan is not really what they call it. They only say that when they're referring to Americans. So Norse paganism in America is more of the inclusive. That's because the AFA turned the word Ásatrú into a fucking dirty word in this country. Because there's no, in Iceland and in Norway, there's no like Lokians and no Rokatru and no Dosatru. Like, it's all Ásatrú. If you worship or venerate anything from the sagas, from the book, you're practicing Ásatrú. And the reason being is the name for this in ancient times, there was none. There was no fucking name. It was just the culture. Everybody worshiped the same kind of deities in different fucking ways. So, but when Iceland, according to their laws in the 70s with Signborn, and next week's going to be a history of Ásatrú episode with Sveinborg Benson, they needed a name. Iceland had to have a name for the faith. So they went with Ásatrú, and Ásatrú was a printing. It was printed in like the early 1800s, and it was to refer to people that were starting to banner, like, it wasn't referring to modern people at that time. It was referring to the heathens, and they were looking for a way that wasn't offensive by saying heathen, because that's the only thing that they were called back then, right? And that was what a Christian derogatory term. They called them heathen. It means untouched, uncultivated land. Basically, like back as, like, but it was that's a heathen land, because they were coming into Scandinavia to Christianize it and to change it into a Christian area. So areas that were still big in the folklore and in the old culture, which didn't have a name, they would say that's an untouched, cultivated heathen land, right? And then the people that lived there became heathens until they converted to Christianity, right? So when Iceland went to redo it, Sveinborg was like, oh, well, they've been calling it, since for like 100 years, this term has been there, Ásatrú, faith in the Azir, when they refer to it historically back. Whereas when you talk about British history, they call it the Viking. No, Ásatrú, pagan prince, that's only in America. Talk to any Scandinavian. Ásatrú is any kind of old way, any old way veneration. According to the Ásatrúarfélagið, according to the the religious organization. Remember, there's religions and there's religious organizations, right? This is a religion, what we do. And then there's quite a few religious organizations, right, that are starting to sprout up, some that have been around for 50 years. And according to, like, what the Ásatrúarfélagið, what they talk about is if you are venerating the veneer, if you are venerating anything, they don't really do Loki and Fenrir worship in Scandinavia, but if you're venerating or honoring or worshiping anything from any of the sagas or the stories, it's also true to them. Yeah, I mean, and this is another thing I was talking to somebody else about too. Like, I was raised Catholic, right? But I was a heathen before I became pagan. Like, I was always, they called me a heathen all the fucking time. Because I was like, I was a little kid that didn't take shit. I was very intelligent, so like I had questions. They didn't have the answers to them, so I was always called a heathen. So I just kind of more embraced that name when I fucking came out here. But yeah, that's like, and that's another thing that was interesting. And this whole thing of me finding out, like the 12 Days of Yule was made by Steve McNallen in the 70s as a way to fucking create the religion. The same thing to create a religion that he could control people. Like that is exactly what he did. That's where the 12 Days of Yule comes from, and that's where the names on these celebrations come from. He made that. And what's even funnier is I heard that he got inspired. He's a bigot, and he got inspired to name the individual days from Kwanzaa, which was starting to be developed in America in the 70s and 80s. So like, and then like, you know, that, and I've heard too, the 9 Noble Virtues. That was, the 9 Noble Virtues was created to not have to help someone deconstruct from Christianity. Here, we have our own 10 commandments, but it's 9, because we have 9 realms. That's where that comes from. And that's, you know, like, that's not even a discussion in Iceland. Like, the 9 Noble Virtues, 12 Days, and this all happened because I was on a video call with the 23rd generation great-grandson of Snorri Sturluson, right? My boy. I'm on the phone with him. Normal, like, I talk to Gomes once a week, right? I'm on the phone with Gomes, and I'm like, yo, what are you doing for Mother's Night? And he's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? And this was last year. And I was like, Mother's Night. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, Madrignat is, and he was like, that's another day. And I was like, no, it's part of Yule. And I just didn't want to, like, I didn't even have the conversation. And then Yule's coming up again this year. And I was like, and I started talking to some other people. And people were like, yeah, no. And then I talked to Ben KG from the Troth. And he's like, yeah, no, that was started in the 80s. And it was started originally by Flowers. Flowers is the one that actually did it. He said that McNallen was Flowers did the fucking religion, created the religion, and McNallen was like the spokesperson for it. Like, and he went out and recruited, and he did more of the politics for it, because those dudes made this to make themselves WF, you know? Agree, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the Viking conversions, though. It was political. It wasn't this, like, it wasn't religious. It wasn't people being like, it was the church, like, yo, we'll give you money and you can rule this kingdom if you convert your kingdom, and that's how it was, you know. So like, and that's another thing a lot of people do too. They're like, oh, the great pagan purge, like. No, there wasn't. Yes, there were some violent incidences, right? But it wasn't like, they didn't go town to town, like just murder, you know, just murking people. Like, I don't know what I could get away with on fucking YouTube Live, by the way. You know, it was a slow conversion. It was a conversion of bribery. It was a conversion of power. There were absolutely some, you know, violent incidences that happened, but if the violence could be avoided by a payoff, that was the route that it went. Yeah, but like I said, Yule's become 12-day celebration for modern Norse paganism because it was created by an organization that was trying to control new converts. They were people that were coming to paganism and looking for an organizational structure like something like the 12 days. Yule in Scandinavia is a season. It's a Yuletide. The House of True Forlaget was on vacation from the 28th to they came back this Monday. You know what I mean? The 12 days of Yule, it was directly stolen from the 12 days of Christmas. Because the problem is, Yule in Scandinavia, right? So Yule in Scandinavia, and this is where like some of the shit that McNallen did was absolutely brilliant, the way he hacked shit. Like he definitely culture hacked, like really well. So in America, we, as young kids, we hear Yule, right? As a young Christian Catholic kid, right, growing up in the Bronx, I would hear Yuletide season, Yule blessings. Watch the Yule log on Channel 13, right? During Christmas. Because Yule was another name for Christmas. That's how I was raised and told that. So now there's already an established 12 days of Christmas, right? And so there's already established 12 days of Christmas. So now, and all I have to say is, oh no, it's the 12 days of Yule. The Christians stole it from the pagan. And you kind of believe it. But what it was a case of synchronicity and then used to fucking social hack and social engineer. So what he did was, it's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. So because so many Scandinavian immigrants came to America, Yule and Christmas are an interchangeable terminology. So there's 12 days to Christmas. Now, there was a lot of Christmas trees were stolen and pagan and wreaths, and it's just being said this isn't new. This is being said every Christmas for at least 80 years now, right? So he was just real quick to be like, no, it was originally 12 days of Yule. They stole it. The Christians stole it from them. People fucking believed it. I believed it until I dug into it, and I literally have an email from one of the highest culties in Iceland saying, no, here's an article about the 12th and 13th day of Christmas, but that is not Yule. The whole reason that Yule and Christmas was King Hakon the Good. He moved Yule back because Yule was actually in the beginning of the year. Because for paganism, springtime is the new year. Yule is this winter season. That's what Yule is. And I only learned this because I became friends with Scandinavian people. That's it. And now, like, I've learned I've learned to go to the source. Like, I'm going straight to source. It's like I'm not listening to other people. Lesson learned on that. Right, it's fucking dude, I do not like the guy. I do not like the guy's fucking politics. I don't like his theology. I don't like that shit. But I respect it. Like, I respect the intelligence and the cunning and manipulation that went in behind it. Like, I don't want to say, like, yeah, I have respect for it. Like, yeah, you motherfucker. Yeah, you pulled that off pretty good, bro. You know what I'm saying? What? What? No, speak. What the fuck are you sticking things out? Hello? What do you want? What's up, Ed? Like, what was that? So, hello, Steve. What the fuck is that? Don't tell you about spring. Negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Where are you, in Alaska? All right, listen, I'm gonna get off. It's 9 o'clock. Anyways, I said I was gonna come on for an hour and do this. I hope everybody had had a good, enjoyed the life, and probably next week I'll do another three or four. She fucking, like, I don't get that. Like, what shit do is say, babe, what do you want? Like, hello, slam a door open, stick papers out, and then slam the fucking door shut. Makes no sense. All right. Everybody have a great day, and I hope everybody enjoyed it, and it'll be available for for a rewatch later. All right. Bye. How do I get out of this?